The clear orange bottle was empty. It had been empty a day. It suddenly seemed so costly and uncalled for anyway. 2 years had passed. They had passed more or less the way years should. Maybe he'd changed. Or maybe the doctors had misunderstood. It was June. The enormous elm tree was green again, and the scent of hyacinth reached through the window and followed wherever he went. And the sky was the firmament. His life was never better. Each small, white, spotless cloud that passed was like a long, wished-for letter. But then he remembered his promise. It came like a mild cramp, and it sat there all day in the back of his mind like a gas bill, awaiting a stamp. He saw 3 faces that Sunday, mother, sister, niece, all with the same kind, brown, scared eyes that brought him no peace. The sidewalk sparrows were peeping. His whole house smelled like a flower. But he remembered his promise. The drugstore said 1 hour. Back home again, he was tired. The label said caution, said warning. He left the clear orange bottle on the lip of the sink till morning. The insert said warning, said caution. The insert said constipation. It said insomnia, vivid dreams, and hypersalivation, and increased urination, and a spinning sensation. It also said night sweats and agranulocytosis, and strongly suggested a full glass of water be drunk with all doses. The insert said all this. The insert he never read, but he didn't have to read it to know what it said. The bedroom was calm with moonlight, and the breeze through the screen was cooling. Through the elm leaves, the shivery light on the wall came like quicksilver pooling. But just before 5, something woke him, a close whisper, or maybe a far cry. And the bedroom was queasy with light the color of lapis lazuli. He lay there listening hard, till 6, till 7, till 8. At 9, he remembered the bottle. But 9 was too late. Don't take me, cried the clozapine. Don't take me, cried the pill. By 10, he was feeling restless with a whole day left to kill. Don't take me, cried the clozapine. Yes, don't, cried the medication. And the bright yellow morning seemed suddenly edged with a shady fascination. Why should he go to his workplace? Who was his supervisor? He had a sickening feeling that he was becoming wiser. His room filled up with interest. He had begun to think. He thought of the knives in the kitchen and the bottles under the sink. He thought as he switched the stove on or stood at his shaving mirror or reached for his belt in the wardrobe. Thinking made things clearer. Even the bedroom window, the open window full of sun, continually hinted at something that should be done. But he was crooked and useless. He was a piece of shit. And so, as everyone knew he would, he failed to go through with it. Don't take me, cried the clozapine. Don't take me, cried the drug. Just then, the telephone rang. Just then, he ripped out the plug. Don't take me, cried the clozapine. Don't take me, cried the poison. And the door of the house creaked open, and the cellar door lilted and murmured, and the garden gate groaned and yawned and let a little noise in. There, just outside his window, lurked life, like a cheap cartoon. He shut the sash, locked it, and checked it all afternoon. He lowered the blinds on that world, no longer an agent of it, but then, with one finger, pulled down a slat and set his eye above it. At first it was grimly amusing. At last it was grimly grim to watch all those hunched, hurried people who made like they weren't watching him. The neighbors were thinking out loud. They knew he was no fucking good, so he slumped on a stool in the corner like a bad little snaggle-tooth should. They called him a dirty pig and laughed and said he shouldn't exist. Sometimes they made a tisking sound, or ointed him, or hissed. They hissed that he was to blame for everything, and everyone knew it, and if he weren't such a pussy, he'd know what to do, and he'd do it. He lay on his side on the rug, unable to move at all except for his big right toe, which dug and dug at the wall, which dug at the wall, which dug. Don't take me, cried the clozapine. Don't take me, cried the cure, and they begged him to sew his mouth shut just to make goddamn sure. Don't take me, cried the Clozabine. Don't take me, cried the poison. And the gate to the wicked city gaped, and the gates of the temple screamed and screamed, and the gates of the garden groaned and yawned, and the gates of the ziggurat gabbled in grief and sucked all life's sorrows and joys in. His thoughts were advancing like wolves. He lay still for an hour and a half, then reared up on his rickety legs like a newborn calf, then rug, hall, stairs, porch, stoop, street, and the blacktop humanly warm on the soles of his naked feet. His walk was stiffened by fear, but it took him where he was going, into the terrible world of children and daffodils growing, and friendly people helloing, and the super outdoing the mowing, and the two old sisters out in wool sweaters with their wrinkled cheeks pinkly glowing, and the pretty lady who would give birth by Christmas barely showing, but showing, and the policeman helping to keep the lazy afternoon traffic flowing, and time itself slowing, and none of them knowing that an odious axis was forming, that it would not be controlled, that schemes were afoot, that a foot was a thing for a jackboot to hold, that the street was a movie set, that it was not warm and sunny, that a creditor was calling and could not be paid with money, that the world was like a sliver of iron held in the hand, in his mind the lodestone above it made it stir or stand, that the air was slowly changing to a color they didn't know, that he was a famous doctor on a television show. But what could he do? Even friends would take these facts for lies, and he couldn't tell who the enemies were, though he felt the hot breath of their eyes. So he kept his big mouth shut and tried to play along, and plowed down the street toward the coffee shop as if nothing at all were wrong. He tried not to notice the numbers painted on garbage cans. He tried not to look at the black, unmarked sedans. The coffee shop smelled like coffee, but felt different inside. The new waitress went by. She winked. He kept his eyes open wide. Everything screamed, "Run away!" But he wasn't really there. So he stood by the gumball machines and smiled and tried not to stare. "The power is yours," said a T-shirt. "Look for lightning," reported the weather. And the stranger who offered the sports section said, "It's all there, Chief. Just put it together." Then, wild-eyed out of the kitchen, stormed a small, hard old man, shouting in a strange language and waving a frying pan, shoving him out the door and into the chattering street, shoving him, waving, shouting, and pointing at his feet, at his bare, gray feet. Then came the dark blue uniform, the badge glinting in the sun, and the belt jangling like a stormtrooper's as the boots broke into a run. "Take that!" cried the patrolman. "Take that!" cried Johnny Long. Street, knee, neck, cuffs, curb, jaw, and a flat foot pushed him bleeding into the sleek cruiser, and he heard all the gawkers thinking that he was a pig and a loser, and his chin throbbed, and the handcuffs ate at his wrist, and he would be hacked into pieces soon and would not be missed. "Don't take me," cried the victim. "Don't take me," cried the threat, but the angry back of a head was the only response he could get. Lying on his side like a child at the end of a big day, he gazed up through the window and watched it all slip away. The little pen where they put him had a toilet but no stall. Here and there a message scarred the gloss white wall. Time passed, but you couldn't tell it on the trapped fly ticking the ceiling, or the flickering light overhead, or the sore on his chin congealing, or on the sound of the other pigs and the other pens squealing. When the men came, he was ready. He talked. They took it all down. And soon they were back in the cruiser on their way across town, then into the mirrored building, over the waxed lobby floors, down miles of echoing hallways, through the heavy brown doors, into a humming beige room with a bed and a river view, and an outside lock, and jailers who wore white instead of blue. "Take that," smiled the doctor. "Take that," smiled the nurse. He pressed his lips still tighter, and things got worse and worse. "Please," threatened the nurse. "Please," growled the doctor. He raised his fist to cover his mouth, but the nurse was too close, and he clocked her. Now into the room came the big men, who did not clamor or shout, but pinned him with ease to the bed, strapped him down, and went out. and the doctor was there again, trailing a spider web of cologne. And the doctor told what would happen next in an expert monotone, and the nurse took a needle and emptied it into his arm, and they both left, content that he could do no more harm. And he fought, and the straps cut his shoulders, and he gnawed at his lip, and it bled, and he held his bladder for 3 long hours, then shivered and pissed the bed. The doctor came a 5th time. It was long past dawn. They found him in a room, said the doctor, gently restraining a yawn. The next 2 days were sleep and words through a fine white mist. Then he woke inside a machine whose motion he couldn't resist. Tick-tock, said the clock. Creak, creak, said the bed. Drip, drip, said the sink. Throb, throb, went his head. Ho hum, sighed the night nurse. Ha ha, said the sicko. Why, screamed the patient. Howl, howl, cried the psycho. Wolf, wolf, cried the boy. Gobble, gobble, sang the freaks. Saw, saw, cried the king. Tick-tock went the weeks. Bang, bang, said the TV. Teeter-totter went his brain. Click, click went the checkers. Pitter-patter went the rain. Bring, bring, said the payphone. Snip, snip went the tape. Jangle, jingle went the keys. Clank, clink went the gate. Bye, bye, said the nurse. Bye, bye, said the guard. Bar, bar, said the doctor. Ba, ba, said the lamb. My, said his mother. Boo, boo, cried Bo Peep. Bow, wow, said the wolf. Ba, ba, said the sheep. In the car away from that place, the family had a pleasant chat. He seemed fine again and humble, though his speech was oddly flat. He said that the halfway house where he would be residing was located on a quiet block and had green vinyl siding. There, he met new people and watched the television, which did not watch him back or speak to him with derision. And he performed certain tasks meant to teach certain skills, and he got small checks from the government to pay his enormous bills. Each night he fell asleep, and each morning he got up, and he washed down his medicine and squashed the paper cup, feeling in all much better, more in touch with common sense, and also slightly bored by the lack of consequence. And the church bells rang, and a dinner bell tinkled, and the school bell tolled, and called all the good girls and boys in, and all of them brought all their toys in, and all of them swallowed